Do you want me to send that or are you going to read?
Just need youtube.com/b6mgw8c21. So what? Or L.
Where the hell is my phone? What the hell is Mike doing up here? Tell me when I can go back to the other picture. Are you on there?
So what?
Okay, so look at this phone. Okay, Ben, shall we go? Do we have an audio? You're getting a good feed. Okay, so let's talk about what's happening here then. We've got leaders down here with Hollinghouse is in front and high at 2,700 feet. And we'll just see where Tilo is. Yeah, he's up on the top of the mountains approaching back to Caravassa. Halfway down the second leg. Some reason Mike Jones going way up to the north. But you can see that he's 1,900 meters. Koshi and Rodriguez are doing really well, and they're just south of the track, but they're quite a bit lower. They're down at 2,100 meters. So it looks like Tilo is going to go for the high ground and take the run along the north side to go to turning point 3, as is probably Mike. And it looks like Philippe and the other guys in the chasing group, they're going to be going on the low ground to climb on Caravassa or back on the slopes near to the plantation in Marangas Valley, where the cursor is now. If we see who's behind, following along, we've got Eva stuck. We don't think she's taken the second turning point. We think she was too low to climb over the mountain here, and she's a bit stuck there. Jill, we've lost the tracker for, and we've also lost the tracker for Christoph Lindbergh. And it looks like the tactic for most people is to go to the north side. But when we look down the bottom, on the south side, we can see we've got Hindenburg and Sergio Clark have chosen to go the direction of the Cuddy. And they are not so high, they're 2,400 meters, which is about okay. And they're just enough height to come over the Cuddy and along the south side. But I don't think they'll get it on the south side, because here we have a lot of very low cloud. And the cloud is on top of the hills, and there's probably no lift on this side at all. And the guys on the other side will be going much better. So we have several different tactics. Several people are trying different things. Mike's trying really to go on top of the mountains. We have Tilo, who's very high up in the top here of the mountains, and he is with Werner Amann, I think, who's also quite high in this area. And Philippe de Pesci, and who's with Philippe? It's difficult to see at the moment. There's Philippe de Pesci here, and Miguel Mondero are running much lower along the valley to take their climb somewhere around about the Marangas Valley. Mike seems to be sightseeing on the north, leaving everybody else running on the bottom. Friedel is doing well. He's on the slopes on the south side now, and here we have Aldo and Peter Panic together back on still on Munchuru Mountain. So it's really spread out today. That bottom turning point really caused everybody a bit of a problem, and it's difficult to see quite if they will come back together. The Kai and Serge on the south side here, I'm pretty sure that they're going to have to cross to the north side. I'm pretty sure that eventually they're going to have to cross to the north side, and they're going to have to join on this side of the valley to go down to 20.3. The Chilo's up 2,700 meters. He's up in the north of the valley here. We'll just see if we can identify exactly where he is again. Yeah, we can see that he's Werner running along the north side of the valley. There you get a beautiful view on the top of the hill. We just turn it the right way around, so north at the top. And then you can see where they are. That's the Marangues Valley, and here we have to the Calabasa, and the other guy all low along these southern slopes. And the airfield of Sedania is down here where it says start, on the right-hand side. They have still 30, 40 kilometers to go to the turning point, and they will have to either cross the valley or they'll have to fly on the north side of the valley until they're close to the turning point. The decision time right now for Werner Ammann and Chilo, whether they cross, they have plenty of altitude. They're up at 2,700 meters. And we have to see if it's a good tactic for them to cross here, or whether they continue on the north side of the valley where there are some cumulus, and then cross later on. The Peter and Fridolin are running along together behind, coming up to the mountain of Montreal now. Sorry, coming up to the Carabassa now, where we can see now that Miguel and Philippe de Pesci are beginning to climb. They're not so high, only 2,100 meters. Then they have to climb up, they need to climb up to at least 2,600, 2,700 meters to make it across. And Werner and Thilo stopped to take a look at climb there, but they are moving on now. 2,800 meters at this point here. Kai is crossing the valley, and he's coming onto the other side now. And Kai currently is our competition leader, and he is down at 2,000 meters. That's not very high in the middle of the valley here. He really will need to find a climb here soon if he's going to get back in the money. He's going to have a struggle. Let's have a closer look at where he is. And we can see coming onto the low slopes down here, he needs to climb pretty soon. And down here, there's a convergence, there's some cumulus. It shouldn't be a problem for him to climb. He should have Serge Leclerc with him somewhere. He was behind him just a moment ago. He's quite a long way back. He's got low, so he didn't climb on the mountain. He got stuck back here somewhere. So what happens to Kai now? This is where he's heading for. He wants to climb on this part of the mountain here, just on the corner of the mountain of Carabassa. In the meantime, we can see that Tino is 2,700 meters and pushing on, and Mike seems to be going a long, long way to the north, 2,900 meters, and maybe he's decided to look at some countryside he's never seen before. Coming back to Tilo and Werner, they're pushing on really well. They've got a really good lead now. They're well out in front. And the turning point's not far away. They've got good altitude, good tactic for them. They are not far behind is Friedlin, who's caught up really well. He was a good 10 kilometers behind the second turning point. So I'm not sure how he's caught up, but he's caught up really quick. He's not so high, but he's okay. He's 2,300 meters. He's got enough height to cross onto this area here, where they should be able to climb, and then climb up here where Thilo and Werner climbed. Mike seems to be right on the very top of the mountains into Andorra now. He has to go around the north side from there. He has to come over the top of Pas de la Casa. And he's high, but he's a long way behind. He's not going to catch that up very easily. So what's going on with the front? They chose to run the north side of the valley. If we show you the whole picture, you can see that Werner and Thilo are running the north side of the valley, and they're going to take all the way around the north side of Ponferrada and come down into turning point 3 from the north. The Biba, she's still stuck. She got really stuck in this valley, and I don't think she's taken that other turning point yet. I think she's still in the Seo Valley trying to get the altitude for that. But she hasn't really climbed up. She's still at 1,800 meters. Silvaro de la Rosa, he's at 2,200 meters coming onto the Andorran Valley, just on the corner of the spur here at the bottom of Montreal. These guys should climb okay, but they're really not at a very, very high. Kai looks like he didn't stop to climb. He's decided to come around the corner. He's probably getting a little bit, well, 2,000 meters. Yeah, he will climb, almost certainly. He'll climb here, but it's a long way back up. And if he doesn't get a good turn quickly, he's going to be in trouble with that. This place where Philip is, the western face of Marangis, that's good. And in that point there, Philip will probably get a reasonable climb up. And we can see that Friedelin's decided to go straight on. Friedelin's only 2-2. That's, yeah, it's a little bit nervy that, because where he's going, he has to get high ground towards Ponferrada, across the Puimaron Valley. If he doesn't get some altitude here, when he gets onto this side, he's going to feel very low indeed. The top of this plateau is about 2,000 meters, and he is only at 2,200. He needs all of that 200 meters to get across. The guys behind De La Rosa and Rodriguez and Aldo, they're coming along quite well, but they're a long way behind them. And we can see the intrepid Jeff Billy in his Level, he's keeping up, pulling up the rear. He's going quite quickly today. He was not far behind at the first turning point. But as always, he can't compete with these guys. The standard class gliders and the club class gliders, they're really out of their league here because the speeds they're flying at are so high. Flying at speeds of in excess of 200 kilometers an hour sometimes, and that's just too fast for these older gliders, for the standard class gliders. Thilo and Werner have stopped climbing. They're climbing up really, really well, and they're climbing up on the above the near the paraglider slopes before Ponferrada. This corner of the valley here is a good place to climb. And from this point here, they should easily be able to get the altitude to make the turn. They will probably come back the same way. They'll probably into the turn and come back onto the same slopes. Friedelin, it'd be interesting to see what happens to Friedelin now. Let's just zoom in and see what Friedelin is going to do. He's going to cross over onto this western face above the Puimaron Valley. And it's can be okay, but he's not that high. Friedelin is only about he's 2,100 meters, and he would be much more comfortable if he arrived. And we'll just zoom in on Friedelin. Here we go. And that's something we have to fix, Ben. Stop it spinning around when you zoom in on somebody. And we can see that he's coming in now to the hillside. Just over the low slopes now. He might climb this area here. There's a nice rock face just here. We can see that Thilo and Werner are climbing, but they're very much higher. They're 3,000 meters already in this area. Fridolin will get, well, he might get that same thermal. Tila leaving now, Werner quickly behind him. They're going to be really good at that, because once they've taken this turn, it's a straight run. They're in a convergence, they're going to go really quickly. We can see that Philippe Depeche has got a little bit low. He's back here on the mountain near to Maranges Valley. Where's he gone? He's down here somewhere, and he's not very high at the moment, Philippe. So he's going to be struggling a little bit. Very difficult for him to catch up. Miguel's dropped back. He's only 2,200 meters. He's going to have a bit of a struggle to get back up again. And Mike's coming over the top of the mountains now, but he's a long way behind. He'll have a real hard time catching up. Peter Panik, we're about to join Fridolin. A similar height. He's at 2,300. Fridolin is climbing, and he's at 2,100. So they're going to be back together. Philippe Depeche, he's pushing on to join them, but he's much lower. He's definitely in the bottom end of the comfort zone here. He's going to have some difficulty finding a good climb at that altitude. And Kai Lindenberg, he's pulled himself out of the trouble, but he's still not very high. He's down at 1,800 meters. That's not a comfortable height. He also will need to climb here. And it's quite high, this small hill, and the thermals will normally be better once you get above the hill on the slope. And they're going to arrive only just level with this hill. And you can see in the valley, it's just the very bottom of the mountain. But it could be that there's a nice cumulus sitting over that, and they can see that it's going to be okay. Thilo and Werner running on into the turn. They're going to be around the turn in a few minutes. They've got plenty of altitude. Werner is up at 2,700 and Thilo at 2,800 meters. So we reckon that they will be back out on the north side and meet these guys coming the other way. Mike seems to have come back from his sightseeing tour to the north, and he's going to join Miguel Mondero at this point just after Puimalon Valley. He'll come back into the valley there. And at the back here, what have we got? We've got Silver coming up onto material. He's doing okay. He's coming along. Not sure if she took it. Maybe she went back and took it while we weren't watching that. But it doesn't look like it's registered as having taken. So she's probably not taken the turn and decided that for her it's a 0-point day. So she's better off enjoying the rest of the race than she's spending all day trying to get around that turning point. You can see where they've just crossed Libya. Libya is a little bit of Spain tucked into France. There's this little area here, an island of Spain, and very beautiful place, lovely music festival every year. Thilo and Werner just about to take the turning point. They should come into the turning point at 2,600, 2,700 meters. Werner's playing a canny game. He's sitting just behind Thilo, but he's a fraction lower. But that shouldn't matter. 100 meters in this situation shouldn't make much difference. Miguel and Kai are coming on from the east. They're approaching from the west, but they're not very high. Philippe has not really started to climb. He's still 1,600 meters. Be interesting to see what's going on down there and see whether or not these guys are getting around. Peter Pan is climbing quite high. He's doing okay. He's now up at 2,800 meters. Fridolin climbed up to 2,400 meters. But Philippe is still struggling down at 1,600 meters. And he's having a hard time finding the best part of the thermal, but he's climbing. He is climbing, so he's climbing slowly to start with. He'll come back up the slope a little, and it should get easier. The problem with flying in the mountains, the lower you go, the more flat the mountain, and the air is traveling horizontally as well as vertically. And that means you don't get energy out of it that you need to get a Friedelin's climbing quite well now. He's climbing at about 3 meters a second. He's 2,500 meters. He's going to be happy. He's happy. He's apparently going to be happy because he's up there. He's at 3,000 meters now. It's a really good height. And we have coming behind him now. He's only 2,300 meters, but he's very quickly going to be with the group and catch them up. All have stories to tell tonight. I'll be interested quite what's going to happen to the group. I don't think there's any question now about what's going to happen to Werner and Thilo. You can see that they're taking the joint, and it looks like they're going to be taking the south side of the valley. They're going to come out of the turning point on the French-Spanish border to near the Bushman, the big mountain here, and they're going to run this side until they come back to Alp. When they get back to Alp here, they should then cross over to the north side. Except for us. They'll cross back over to the north side where they will join up with the convergence again round about Marangas. That's my guess anyway. They're still 2,600 meters, that's okay. So he suddenly jumped into second place. I'm sure that's a glitch in the system. Now Miguel's flying an old ASW20, and you can see he's got a Ventus 2AX and an ASW27 in front of him with Amro, with Werner, I think there's a 27. It's a G29. So in front of him, he's got 300,000 euros worth of glider, and he's got a nice 20,000 euros worth of glider, and he's keeping up. That's what you call value for money. He's got behind him a whole load of very expensive equipment that just can't keep up with. Now you've got to reckon that this is really great flying. Miguel's flying really, really beautifully today, and it looks like he's about to come into the turn. He's high, he's 2,800 meters, and he's going to be close on the tail otherwise. We have Philippe is not really getting up yet, he's still 1,700 meters, he'll be feeling very frustrated. And Friedelin's high now, Peter Panik's high, so those guys are well ahead and they're going to be going well now. Looks like Mike Young's joining them now, so we'll just go back and have a look what's happening there. See if they're all climbing up together. Yeah, it looks like, hello, what's happening? We've got Mondero here. And it's Aldo, not Miguel, that we have out front. Aldo flying absolutely brilliantly. Aldo is also in his older SW20 and number 70, and he's just taken turning point 3, and he's going like a train. He's only 2 kilometers behind the leader, closely followed by Peter Panik, who from Czech Republic. Peter is at 2,800 meters and about to come into the turn. Back in little drama going on down low here. He's still struggling down the bottom here. When he's going around, he's not going up very quick. He's 1,800 meters, so he is climbing. He's getting up. He will get up okay. And Mike's up at 2.5, and we have Miguel above him, I think, here. So we have Miguel Mondero. He's up at about, Miguel, he's 2,900. That's great. And Friedelin's just leaving. Friedelin's up at 3,000 meters. That's really quite high and really quite comfortable. What's going on behind? We've got here Silvero is coming up to the mountain of Carabassa, and he'll be back at being the airfield in a few moments. And yeah, but he's no, I think he'll be okay. And Serge, he's well back now. He's not very high. He's obviously climbed out of the hole he got into. He's lifted himself up by his bootstraps, and he's now on the way again. And he's coming up to the mountain at Carabassa. where's our leaders gone? They're coming out of the turn now, and we can see Tilo is way up by the airfield, going really, really quickly. And they're coming up to beam the airfield now. This is coming up to Alp Mountain. This is Alp, beam the airfield, and this is the road to the Col de Tossas. And we're going to see Tilo probably climb somewhere here. How high are they? 2,500. They've got the height to cross directly to Marangues Valley, but there's a good chance they get a climb here, which means they don't have to take any risk. They don't have to risk to come across low down on this side. Aldo has chosen to go back on the north side. He's taken the turn and he's going straight back to where they climbed a few moments ago. He's got the altitude, it's still 3,600, and he's going to be embarrassing with these guys tonight if he keeps this up. It would be wonderful to see an ASW20 pilot on the podium tonight. At the moment, Aldo is in third place and going really well. But he's closely followed by Peter Panic at 2,500 meters, and we can see that Peter's really on his step, crossing on the side of the valley, heading to join the third that they climbed in, where Mike Young and Kai Lindenberg have just left. Lindenberg climbed really well. He got himself into a bit of trouble. He's got out of that trouble now, and he's going quite well at this point. Friedelin's about to take. I'm surprised how quickly Friedelin pulled back, because he pulled back from really quite a long way back at the second turn, and he's pulled back to be the fourth around the turn now. And not only is he running the fourth, he's also running the 2,700 meters, which gives him lots of options. He can go back to the north side and climb above the solar power station near to Font-Romeu, and then come back over the Puy-Moron Valley. Or he can take the south side, the same as Tilo and Werner took. We have to see now whether the tactic that Werner and Tilo took is going to be much better, because Aldo is about to come back into a very high climb. And when he comes back into the climb, we will see whether or not he is able to meet the other guys along the mountain. I doubt it. I doubt very much that he'll be able to get much height there. He will be able to get quickly enough to catch up the and Werner. And he's flying a much slower glider. So we can see Aldo now heading back into that point. In the meantime, Mike's climbed up to 3,000 meters, and Philippe Depeche finally getting himself up. He's up to 2,500 meters now. And we're going to see the other guys taking the turn. Kai, Miguel Mondero, Friedelin, they're all going to be taking a turning point in the next moment or two. And it looks to me like they'll come back. They'll have seen Aldo, they'll have seen Peter coming back this way, and they'll assume that, okay, that's the way the others are going. Looks like a good route. We'll take the same route. How high are Tilo and Vernon now? Are they crossing the valley? They'll probably slow down a little bit now. Yeah, it's for 2,400. That's okay. They'll be heading either onto the southeast corner of the mountain here at Ravassa, or they'll be heading onto the plantation here. If they are heading onto the southeast corner, they will be, it's not so reliable. It'll probably be okay. They certainly want to be more than 2,000 meters. Probably 2,200 meters would be the minimum you'd really want to arrive there. But we can see that the convergence line, the area of best development on the north side of the valley, is going well. There's quite a lot of cloud, which means there's quite a lot of shadow falls on the hills. And that can influence things a lot. It can influence things so that the climbs from the down become very big. Yeah, it looks like Thilo and Werner are having a nice time together. We're looking out the window here down the valley, and the interesting thing is there is not any wind at all, just zero. That's not normally a great sign. If you're low down in the valley when there's no wind, it's really difficult to climb out. The wind usually will indicate which side is working well and where the convergence line is drawing the energy from. When there's no wind at all, it's probably thermals pulling up the higher slope. That's okay, but it makes it difficult to find them when you're low down. So Klaus and Werner are going to come into this corner now. We'll just keep an eye on them for a moment, watch what they do, and see if they can find a good one here. Werner seems to either slow down or try to slow down, I'm not sure which. No, we've lost Werner's tracker. That's a nuisance. That was good. We're both going together. So we just have to assume that they're still together. We're going to come into this bowl here, and we're going to hope to climb somewhere off this area here. The sun's on this side, the sun's in the bowl, and if they're lucky, and they will come into this area here and climb up in a decent thermal. The climb base here is around about 3,000 meters still. It's probably not going to be the strongest climb, but if they can get back up to 2,700, 2,800, then they will be able to move over the top of the mountain and onto this area here where they should get much higher. And we've lost Serge. We've lost Serge. And we've still got him there down. Yeah, well, Serge is only 2,500 meters. He's not come out of that area that easily, but he's up and he'll probably come over the top in a moment, and he's got to get onto this next turning point. Now then, where's our Mr. Aldo Rodriguez going? Klaus is coming, Thilo is coming onto here, and Aldo is way back where they were climbing before, climbing over, yeah, and he's climbing over the same spot, and he's up to 3,000 meters. Now, if Aldo can convert that, Aldo can convert that into distance, there's a chance that Aldo will come over the top here, and he'll be able to very nearly catch up with Thilo. Thilo's going to have to get a pretty good climb to get up ahead of Aldo again. It's going to be quite difficult for him. It's going to be quite difficult for Aldo to catch him up, but he's showing signs of possibly catching him here. It's a little bit like racing a modern Formula One car with one of the Formula One cars from the year 2000. There's a big difference in the performance of these riders. So we've got a real race here with the old against the new. And looking at it, Peter Panek is just coming a little bit ahead. He's with Aldo here. He's up at the same sort of height, and there's a chance that they will get enough altitude to take the top route along. It's pretty difficult now to see Thilo climb as well. And we can assume that Werner's with him, and they're coming onto the slope here with Thilo at 2,400 meters. That's fine. 2,400 meters, he should be able to climb well up this corner. If he does climb well, if he climbs in 2 to 3 meters a second, then they're not going to catch him. Because as soon as he's climbed up, he's going to be away down the convergence line all the way to the next turning point and back on again. Once he's climbed up here, for them, there is only one more tricky point in the flight, and that's coming out of the next turning point and back into the valley of Andorra, where they will need to climb again. But if Thilo and Werner get to 3,000 feet, 3,000 meters here, they're going to be pretty much home and dry in this race, and it's going to be very difficult to catch them. What's going on behind? Where are the other guys then? We've got Mike's going to come back to the same place. The others with Kai's here, Peter Panek's here, Freeland's here, Miguel Mondero's come here, and Silvero's here, but Silvero still has to go to the turning point. Philippe de Pesci is probably, yeah, he's around the turn now, and he's at 2,300 meters, which isn't as high as the others turned out, but he'll be hot on the tails of the other trying to catch them up. He's gonna, is he going to go on the south side? Looks like he's going to go on the north side. It looks like he's going to follow the others. Mike's coming back towards the same climb with Aldo and Peter Panic, and he's going to join that climb there at about 2,400 meters, and he'll be okay. In the meantime, Tilo is climbing up. He's not climbing okay. He's climbing back up to 2,600 meters. That's a good height. Tonight he can come straight onto the convergence line here, and that gives him a run all the way along over the mountain in Montreal around the base in the Andorra Valley. 2,500 meters at this point near where Billy is now, and they can cross all the way to the turning point, back on the ridge, climb here again, come home. Tilo is now climbed up to 2,700. I suspect he'll be leaving in a minute. He'll want to get into this area to the west, where they were earlier, and where we can see there's a little bit of overdevelopment. The clouds spread out a bit. It's a little bit ragged looking, but there should be energy all the way along there. And Rodriguez, Aldo, has climbed up to 2,900, and he's going to come along the top. But I really think he's too far behind now. I don't think he's got much chance of catching up. We can see that he's in this area, he's with Kai and Peter Panek, and they're up at 2,100 meters, and Tilo is running in energy. He's running in energy, it's 2,800 meters. He's not losing any altitude. He's going to be running along very nicely along this slope now. I think T is thinking about the end game. He's not far away for him now. One can assume, I think, that Werner and Tilo will still be together. They'll be neck and neck for the finish, and it looks at the moment like Kai and Peter Panik will be pushing for the third and fourth places here. And Aldo, for all his brilliant flying so far, it's unlikely he's going to compete for the final cut. It's unlikely when they come to the end, he's going to be able to fly at anything like the speed as these other guys, and they're going to be able to pull away from him. But very creditable flight so far from the Spanish pilot in his SW20. He's now at 2,000, sorry, Miguel is following at 2,300. Aldo is way up at 3,100 meters, nearly at the maximum height they can fly. Tilo's running the energy to the west, and it's going to be all on now. Mike's coming back in underneath to join Friedelin and Lindeberg. So we've got Sergi here. Sergi's coming to join us. Sergi is the chief instructor here. He's responsible for the operation and the operational side of this competition. He's been watching what's happening. So we're going to ask Sergi to tell us what he thinks about what's going on with the racing today. You enjoying watching it, Sergi?
Yes, I enjoy a lot. It's a really nice competition and fast. And the second 2 point it's a bit cool, but now everybody goes really fast and high.
We can see, Sergey, that we have Aldo Rodriguez. He took the third turning point, only just behind Tilo and Werner. He's now high. He's up at 3,000 meters. He's flying along the top with the Peter Panic and the other guys. Don't you think it's a fantastic flight for an old SW20?
Yes, I think it's an amazing flight, and Aldo's a really nice pilot, and I'm sure we're happy for him. to make a really smart flight. He takes some time in good places for the altitude that in this area it's really important to go high.
So I think now, Sergio, that it looks like the really hard part of the race is over. We've got Thilo with Werner, who are already on Monteril here, and they're at 2,400 meters. So they will need to climb, and they will need to get some altitude here to take the next turning point. It may be possible to run all the way there and to run all the way back, but I think it will be to take some altitude. If they can run there, the race is nearly over, don't you think?
Yes, yes, sure.
And they're going to need to climb again to come back?
Kilo, it's 2,500, maybe one more, but it's finally 1 turn or more.
Just looking here again, and we've got Aldo up on the top here. Aldo 3,000 meters, and he's cruising. He's cruising and he's cool. And Peter's with him. Peter's there at, we just lost Peter for a moment, but he's 2,900. I think they'll be fine together. I think they'll be fine together. And we've got a chasing group here with Fridolin and Kai. Fridolin and Kai are a little lower. They're, it shows Kai is only at 1,500 meters. That's not so high. And what about Fridolin? Where's Fridolin? He's at 2,400 meters. This is not so high. Fridolin's okay, but Kai will be, he'd be wishing to be a bit higher than that. He's having to come away from the mountains. I think we should go and have a look at what he's doing. Just zoom Kai. He's coming out from the mountain here because he's really having a hard time now. He's getting lower. He was just too low. Maybe he was pushing a bit too harder. Not a good place to be, would you say?
Yeah, it's true. It's in the battle not working if you are really low.
When we have a situation like this where there's no wind in the valley, do you have any thermals in the room?
In summer, yeah, but now, in some places, but it's not, you don't have thermals.
So we're just watching Kai now. He's our contest leader at the moment, and he's getting himself into a deep hole here. He's down at 1,400 meters. That, you must remember, is only 300 meters above the airfield. Yeah, that isn't very high. I would say that Kai is going to be really, he needs a lot of luck. He's going to climb out of this wall. We'll just watch what he's up to for a moment or two. He's heading onto the small hills which are west of the airfield. You see there's a quarry here, and these hills usually give thermals. And usually you can get a thermal here, but it won't be quick. It's unlikely he'll get a really quick thermal to climb away very quickly. He's 1,500 meters. He's only 300 meters, a little bit, maybe a little bit more above the airfield. He's turning now. There's not much sign of climbing yet. We'll just give him a second or two. Let's see what he tries to do. He's going around, he's going to climb. He's showing positive energy now. Maybe he's not quite found it. He could be just a little bit lower. What height is the top of this hill?
Well, it's 1,500.
No, he's too low to be on the top of the hill. So at the moment, he's still going around, so he's probably going to be okay. He's probably going to come back up. We do hope he comes back up. It's make much more exciting for everybody when everybody comes home. Yeah, he's climbing now. He's back at 1,600 meters, so he's got a good climb. So we'll leave Kai now to climb up there and then go back and see what's happening. Philip Pesci's coming up. He was very low earlier. Oh, he's not very high again. He seems to be one of our low-level specialists today. Sorry, we saw Philip when he was coming out, he was only 1,700 meters there. And he went on to the slopes just past Pumaron Valley, and he took hard for him to climb. But now he will get climb here, or he will see Kai climbing. Kai is still climbing. He's at 1,600 meters, so he's going up. And Philippe will come onto the climb as well. Miguel, he's not too bad, 2,100. He should climb up. Mike Young's way above them. He's up at 2,700, so he's going to be okay. But if he wants to get himself in the points, he's going to have to catch up with these two guys. We have Aldo. Aldo's going really, really well. And Peter Panic is going with him. I think that tonight we have to make sure that we get Aldo the interview. We want to know how he makes his 20 go so fast. Where does he fly normally, Aldo? He flies in Ocaña?
He flies in Ocaña and in Fuente Milanos.
Okay. I think he has another driver also.
Yeah, her family have 25, 51, and 12.
Okay. So he came here in the 20, came to fly in the 20 because it's 15 meters.
Yes.
Now the SW20 was a great 15-meter glider, but so were the old form cars. It's no longer a really competitive glider. Klaus is now across the Pumaron Valley. Tilo is now across the Pumaron Valley, and we can see that Tilo is at 2.2. It's not very high. And it's not very high, but it's high enough. He'd be much happier if he was up at 2,500 meters, because then he could run all the way to the turning point. We just have a look at this part of the flight for a moment. Where the cursor is now, you can see the top of the lorry. The lorry top is 8,000 feet.
Yeah.
What's that in meters? It's about... oh, come on, you mathematician. You can work it out. But the top of this mountain is 8,000 feet. So this 2,400, yeah. This turning point is about 2,000 meters. I think it's about 1,800 meters.
1,700.
And we've made a 1 kilometer radius, so you don't have to go right up onto the top of the slope. So Tilo now is at 2,200. And the ridge line that he's flying is a very nice ridge line in the top of the valley from Saint-Gel. And this ridge line, he can probably maintain altitude all the way along in the energy. Here, he will probably find some thermals, but the cloud base will be low. The cloud base may only be 2,500 meters, and he will be able to come in to take the turn, and he will then retrace his steps, and he will come back here onto the slopes above Sayo de Gel on the west face here above the Andorra Valley. It's very interesting because just at this point here, above Santa Julia de Loria, they have the small country Olympics in Andorra. And here they have a big range for clay pigeon shooting.
Yes.
Yeah. And we know that if you come above that area there, you nearly always find a good film.
Yeah, normal works really nice.
It's always very sad because apparently they used to use live pigeons. And that's a bit of a sadness. What's Tilo doing? He's running on him. He's 2,300. Yes, he gained a little here. He's gained 300 feet or 100 meters. That takes him into the turn. And from the turn, he's going to be able to run back to worry about climbing again. If he gets back onto this point here at 2,300 meters, he will be able to make the rest of the flight without having to climb again. And Peter Panic and Aldo are not far behind. They are 2,600. They've got a good height. They're going to do exactly the same thing. They'll run along the ridge line into the turning point and out. Mike's a little higher. He's up on the top there. And he's at 2,900. Wow, he's not going to need all that height because he's going to be flying along the top here, and he should be able to fly very fast. It's just possible he can catch these guys. Just possible with that height he can catch them. Friedel looks like he's having to come out from the hill because he's a real mountain specialist. you're looking at a guy here who's he's no longer a young man. He's very mature, and Fridolin has been flying competitions for many years. And this guy climbed the north face of the Eiger solo. Now that's a bit of a special thing to do. Yeah, and he seems to be very comfortable. He seems to be very comfortable with zipping along the mountains. Kai is climbing up now. We'll look back where he is, and we can see that he's in this area here, near to the end. He's not climbing very well. He's 1,700 meters. Philippe de Pesci is above him, and Philippe is at 2,100 meters. And I think Christophe Limpa, I think we've lost his tracker. Yeah, so he's just there all the time. Miguel, he's had to climb up there. He's 2,600, and he's coming up off the top here. I think we've lost Mike's tracker. I think we've lost Mike's tracker. It shows him back here, so we can only assume he's up here somewhere. Yeah, maybe he's just trying too high. Fridolin's coming back onto Montreal. This is not bad, is it, Sergio?
No, it works really nice.
Yeah. But even though you know you've got lift here, it's a little bit low to leave here for the next turn, the 2,200. What height would you feel comfortable leaving here for the next turn?
Oh, I guys here to go to Puigcerdà, but 2,100 I think is enough.
But to go to turning point 4?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's right here at 2,100, it's enough for finish.
Oh, to come back?
Yes.
Yeah. But to carry on for Fridolin, he is only at 2,200. He's stopping to climb. I think we can see that he's going to stop and climb here.
The nomad he was so nice. It's Rabassa.
This is Rabassa.
Yeah, for us it's Rabassa, and the top of the mountain is Montreux.
Yeah. And we know that in here, just on this part here on the spine, we normally get a good climb. And of course, what we can't see here is it's probably marked with nice cumulus cloud.
Yeah.
It's a little bit difficult to imagine, but all of this area here will be cloud covered now. Above the top, maybe 2,800, 2,900 meters, but the convection will have completely covered this area with cloud, and there will be it will be no sun at all on here. So the thermals will come a little bit outside along the tree line. The looking at Aldo, he's left the area there at Montreal, and he left it 2,400 meters. That's a really nice altitude. He's going to meet, I'm pretty sure that Thilo and Werner will be together here. And I think Thilo and Werner will be together, and they will be running back along this hill. Aldo and Peter Panic are together. Peter will be waiting to pounce on Aldo for his position at the end, because he's staying just behind him. We can see that the two are flying very nicely, but Peter's just in front now. But Aldo knows the area quite well.
No, he come the last year for the national championship here. He played with us 10 days.
Okay, so not so much.
No.
And so the Aldo is probably only a little bit more experienced here than Peter.
Yeah, because Peter is the first fight, is the first day in the competition.
Yeah, Thilo and I assume with Werner is running out in 2,200, and Aldo and Peter are running in at 2,300. They'll be crossing in a moment. They'll probably say hi, they go by, and they're on the same ridge, running in the opposite direction. Top of this ridge, 2,200 meters, something like that?
Yeah.
It should be at the top.
Yes, 200.
2020. Yes. So they're 600-700 feet above the top of the ridge line here, and this ridge line is picking up all the warm air out of the Seo Valley. You can see that we have a deep valley here, down only 800 meters, and the air is flowing up here and up the ridge line, and these guys will be running in that energy. Thilo is he's lost his tracker, so the just crossed. And you can see Aldo and Peter will be running into the turn moment. I suspect the Tilo will swing back onto here, onto this mountain here. Freeland stops time. He's climbing at 2,300 meters, and he's doing okay there. Mike's way up high at 2,900. Well, he was when we lost him, so he'll be here somewhere. He'll be up with these guys. Friedlin is climbing on the south face of Montreal. Miguel's coming to join him. Miguel is at 2,100 meters, so he's going to come down here somewhere. He's going to be climbing up to catch up with Friedlin. Behind us, what's happening? Philippe Depeche, well, he's 2,500 meters now. He's doing good. And 9,200 meters, he's not so good. He'll be feeling a little bit annoyed with himself. And he'll be a little bit nervous. It's not a very good chance for Kai to get into the points today. So this could change things quite a lot in the overall position. It's pretty much what you see now, because from the turning point, they retrace the flight, they come to Montreal, they might climb a little here, and they can run the energy line all the way along onto Calabasa, and then they come around the corner across the plantation, and I think if they're level with the plantation, that's enough. Yes, sure. That's enough to make the turning point 3 and give us a very nice finish. We have to finish the common distance, because I think we will be expected to finish it on the airfield. We have to do our job on the airfield. And when we finish, we'll just have a roundup again. Oh, we've got Mike's tracker back, haven't we? So he's still up in the stratosphere here, Mike, with 2,800 meters. That's a very good height. Doesn't really need to be that high, but because he could run the energy down low here, but it may turn out to be active. He's not going to catch Tilo, and I don't think he stands any chance to catch Aldo or Peter Pan. But it's the close run thing between him and Friedlin. Because Friedlin is 2,400, but he's got a straight flight onto the ridge. Mike has to go round the top to come back on the ridge. He's got 2 or 3 kilometers further to fly. If Mike's on the north side of this hill, it's a long way around to get back onto here. Philip's on the way. I don't know where everybody else. We've lost the trackers for several people. We lost Christoph, and we lost Jill, and we lost Werner. And Tilo we've lost now, but Tilo we know is probably pretty sure to be come back on this along this route now. So we're looking forward to a nice group finish.
I hope so, because it will be fun.
And we should be able to see them going along the plantation.
Yeah, probably.
It'd be good to watch them make the turn and racing back to the airfield. And I'm going to sign off now. So, okay, I'm going to leave you with the view that you can see. We can zoom in a little bit on this area here. So if you're still watching, you'll be able to watch the guys, the ones who still have working today, coming back along this track here. Oh, he's back down here somewhere, still coming up onto the valley. He might even catch Kai. And Philip's running along. We have Friedlin and Miguel running onto the ridge to the turn, and we have Aldo and Peter Panic coming out of the turn to come home. Mike seems to want to take turning point 1 before he's turning point 4, and we'll have to have a talk to him about his navigation maybe later on. It should all be fairly straightforward now for the run back, and we expect to have our first finishes in the next minutes or so, and so we'll tweet you and we'll put it on Facebook, the order they actually finish. Enjoy watching the rest of the race, and tomorrow we'll have the whole race live on YouTube Live.